EU MDR and IVDR both stipulate specific activities that must be carried out within a manufacturer's organization by a qualified person for regulatory compliance, or a PRRC. Is your organization complying with all the requirements? In this video, I'll be covering the following related to PRRCs: responsible activities, minimum qualifications, employment status, residence location, documenting responsibilities of multiple PRRCs, along with a couple more additional points at the end. As we'll see, the MDR requirements are fairly straightforward to understand with the aid of MDCG guidance on PRRCs. Responsible activities, shown on the screen now, are the activities specified within EU MDR Article 15. Essentially, the PRRC is responsible for ensuring that activities such as conformity of devices is checked in accordance with the QMS before release, technical documentation and EU declaration of conformity are drawn up and kept up to date, and certain post-market surveillance and reporting obligations are fulfilled. Minimum qualifications. There are two basic routes to meet PRRC minimum qualifications. Either you must have at least 4 years of professional experience in regulatory affairs or in quality management systems relating to medical devices, including recent experience with EU requirements in the field. Or you can meet certain academic qualifications paired with just 1 year of relevant experience. The academic qualification route sounds straightforward at first, but this is not the case for individuals residing outside of the EU. The MDCG guidance adds further clarification that qualifications acquired outside of the EU are required to be recognized by an EU member state. In researching the process for having qualifications recognized, I came across the ENIC and ARIC website, which is the joint website of the European Network of Information Centers in the European region and National Academic Recognition Information Centers in the European Union. This website includes resources for finding information on recognition of qualifications. I'll put a link in the description for your reference if you need to go this route. But while there is an opportunity and process to have qualifications recognized, I expect it's going to be a much easier road for most manufacturers to appoint a PRRC with at least 4 years of relevant professional experience. Employment status. Now we're going to cover whether the PRRC needs to be an employee of your organization. The employment status requirements are tied to the size of your organization. If you have less than 50 employees and under 10 million euros annual sales and/or annual balance sheet total, then you can qualify as a micro or small enterprise. If your organization qualifies as a micro or small enterprise, then the PRRC does not need to be an employee, and you may set up an agreement with a person outside of your organization. In this case, you should document the responsibilities and qualifications of the outside person and have their written acceptance of the PRRC role. Otherwise, if you don't qualify as a micro or small enterprise, then the PRRC must be an employee of your organization. Residence location. Again, look into the MDCG guidance. We learned that regardless of organization size, the PRRC should be located in the EU if the manufacturer is in the EU, or outside the EU if the manufacturer is located outside the EU. This appears to leave it wide open if the manufacturer is located outside of the EU. But it is important that there is a permanent and continuous nature of the relationship between the PRRC and the manufacturing activities. So be prepared to defend your solution to your individual notified body. What if there is more than one PRRC? Considering the responsible activities of the PRRC covered at the beginning of this video, I expect in smaller organizations that just one person can faithfully be considered the PRRC. In this case, responsibilities may be verified through an organization chart and a job description. But for larger organizations, it's likely that the PRRC responsibilities may be divided among more than one individual. Often aspects of these requirements are split between separate quality, regulatory, and perhaps clinical departments. In cases such as these, the MDR requires the responsibilities of each PRRC to be documented in writing. To keep things simple, even if there is just one PRRC, I recommend formally appointing PRRCs in writing with the responsibilities clearly described along with reference to evidence of their qualifications. But what do you think? Leave a comment on your experience with notified bodies regarding providing evidence of PRRC qualifications and responsibilities. A couple of additional points are, if your organization has more than one legal manufacturer under a parent company, then each legal manufacturer must have its own PRRC. And the other thing is, an authorized representative cannot serve as your organization's PRRC. To wrap it up, With the adoption of EU MDR and IVDR, the EU Commission has made it clearer than ever that manufacturers are expected to maintain responsibility for compliance with regulatory requirements. To emphasize this point, there is a new requirement for a person responsible for regulatory compliance that meets specific minimum qualification criteria to be at the continuous disposal of the organization. The PRRC, which may be more than one individual, is responsible for specific activities ranging from ensuring conformity of devices are checked, technical documentation and EU Declaration of Conformity are kept up to date, and certain post-market surveillance and reporting obligations are fulfilled. If you would like additional details around this topic, including helpful tables that summarize some of the requirements, I suggest heading on over to my blog where I've written a more detailed post on this subject. I'll include a link to the blog post in the video description. Thanks for watching. I hope you find this information helpful as part of your EU MDR compliance strategy. As a reminder, I help medical device companies develop and implement practical risk-based compliance strategies and right-sized quality management systems. So if you need further advice, please contact me through the email linked in the video description. If you'd like this video, please give me a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. I wish you all the best during your next audit or inspection. Goodbye.